Before day one of Donald Trump's civil fraud trial, he was standing in the court outside of the courtroom and just melting down and said something so threatening about Letitia James, the attorney general who brought this lawsuit against him and his business. Now, as a reminder, before playing this clip, he's already lost on the biggest claim. The judge said there's an overwhelming amount of evidence. I can just already decide on that first and biggest claim, meaning Trump's been found liable for fraudulent business practices and defrauding banks and other entities, overstating, misstating the value of his properties and other fraudulent business practices. And so now damages on that will be decided, and also the other claims in this lawsuit. But a big part has already been handed a loss to Donald Trump on. And he knows this is not looking good for him. Losing his business certification in the state of New York, pretty devastating stuff. And so he's desperate. And here he says, quote, "This is a disgrace and you ought to go after this attorney general." Take a look.
We'll go in and see our rogue judge and we'll listen to this man. And I think most people get it. People are getting it. I can tell you the voters getting it, because every time they give me a fake indictment, I go up in the polls, and that's never happened before. But this is a disgrace. And you ought to go after this attorney general, because she's turning off everybody from coming in. You know, I don't know if you should take a look at the outflow of business. Businesses are fleeing New York because of...
You ought to go after the attorney general. Now, the defense of Trump would be, he means the reporters should go after her and question her. But we know the way that he does this double speak, sort of not so subtle dog whistle. And it's so threatening, especially based on the history of actions that individuals who support him are willing to take. Unbelievable, and very believable at the same time. And it shows how desperate he is. The fact that, as we'll get to later in this segment, Fox News legal analyst also admitting to, the fact that he's attacking the judge and the attorney general as he is, just shows how he has no intention of actually winning this trial. Then he says this:
100 times more than that. And a lot of those numbers could even be low. We have other properties, the same thing, so he devalued everything. I didn't even put in my best asset, which is the brand, in terms of value. Coca-Cola, take a look at their value. They have a value. The value of their brand is more than everything else put together. My brand is extremely valuable. I didn't even use it in my financials. If I wanted to build up a financial statement, I would have built it up by using brand in addition to everything else. We have the greatest properties. We have among the greatest properties in the world, and I have to go through this.
Yeah, no matter how great you feel your properties are or how wonderful you think your brand is, you're still not allowed to defraud banks. That's just not something you can do. And Letitia James is holding you accountable for that. Then here was Trump in the actual courtroom.
I have a question about court proceedings. Let's start with Jonathan Turley. Is there any way in which those cameras could have been...
So there that is. And then before getting to a Fox News legal analyst's response, which was pretty interesting, here is Letitia James herself saying this.
Trump and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail.
And hopefully it will. Now here's someone on Fox News saying Trump's behavior reveals he has no intention of actually prevailing in this case, is potentially setting up an appeal afterwards after losing, but this is not the way you would go if you actually wanted to make a strong defense of yourself.
All right, let's bring back in, or excuse me, welcome to the program, John Yoo, former Justice Department official. John, Jonathan Turley laid out last block He sort of teased out that there's two strategies here on the part of the defense. There's a political strategy. There's also the legal strategy, for lack of a better word to define both of those things. What do you make about what you just heard from the president? That seems certain to anger the judge, Engoron, presiding over this case. Do you think it's a smart move?
Well, you can look at it in two ways, as Jonathan does. There's a political strategy, a legal strategy. I actually think they're at great odds. I think that Trump has already decided he's going to lose on the law. Last week, the judge already made all the key findings against.
Yep. So then it's just about the political angle. And the way he manages his political situation is by saying things like that about the judge. He's been saying that the judge is, all the words he uses previously, a Trump hater and bias, and isn't going to be able to fairly oversee this case. Any justice that comes to Trump is just yet another example in his mind, in the minds of his followers, of his own victimhood. And then same thing with Attorney General Letitia James. And I wish, and I shouldn't even hold out hope, maybe I'm not, that this could happen, but I wish his followers could eventually go, wait, does it really make sense for all these different indictments in different jurisdictions, or this civil trial, or the situation where Trump's found civilly liable of rape, as the judge clarified, or all these different, is it really more likely all of that is to go after Trump dishonestly and unjustly? Or maybe Trump's the one lying about it. Maybe Trump actually committed a lot of wrongdoing and he's being held accountable, as he should, for that wrongdoing. But like I said, I'm not holding out hope people will change their mind on him. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.